Jane said they compared themselves to basketball stars. Jane was Kobe Bryant, Paul was Shaquille O'Neal, and Combs was Michael Jordan.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're detailing the bombshell revelations and notable occurrences from the 5th week of Sean Diddy Combs' federal trafficking trial. Warning, certain information contains distressing details.
Defense attorneys for Sean Diddy Combs accusing federal prosecutors of a thinly veiled effort to dismiss a black juror from the 55-year-old mogul's sex trafficking and racketeering trial.
Jane returns to the stand.
What did Jane say on the witness stand today?
Oh, she said a lot, Eva.
On day 19 of Sean Diddy Combs' federal trial, the woman testifying under the pseudonym Jane continued her direct examination. She read texts in which Combs pressured her to send, quote, bad girl messages, despite her expressing fears that he was keeping incriminating footage of their explicit encounters.
Text messages from 2023 introduced today in court reveal just how badly Jane wanted out. I don't want to be used and locked in a room to perform and fulfill your fantasies. I'm coming to the realization of what this really is.
Jane testified that she felt manipulated and degraded, saying she no longer wanted to play a role she described as, quote, dark and, quote, sleazy.
I'm not a porn star. I'm not an animal. I need a break.
Frustrated that he was seeing other women while continuing to plan hotel nights with her, Jane said she felt she had to, quote, earn basic affection. She further described an alleged violent altercation after confronting Combs about another woman, claiming he physically assaulted her and damaged her home before sending an assistant with up to $12,000 in cash. During one incident she referred to as a, quote, sobriety party, Jane said she vomited after intercourse with 2 men, but was then pushed into having relations with a third. She says she later developed infections.
Broke down in court while describing encounters with multiple sexual partners during so-called hotel nights with Combs, similar to those now infamous freak-offs.
Jane also testified that Cassie Ventura's 2023 lawsuit felt eerily similar to her own experience.
She almost fainted when she learned about Cassie Ventura's lawsuit against Combs, testifying it was like reading her own story.
She says she was at Diddy's home when CNN released footage showing him assaulting Cassie and helped him craft his public apology.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses.
Somber, serious, seemingly facing the music and his own disturbing actions.
Despite everything, Jane testified that they continued to communicate until his arrest.
Sean Combs is still not only just paying her rent, but also paying her legal bills.
Cross-examination of Jane.
Oh, it was the first day under cross-examination, and it was sassy and spicy.
During the multi-day cross-examination by Sean Diddy Combs' defense attorney, Tenny Garagos, Jane acknowledged that she regretted some of her choices, but emphasized they were made under emotional pressure.
The defense was trying to show that Jane was a willing, maybe even eager participant in the kind of sexual lifestyle that Sean Combs was pushing, and they saw occasions when she would text Sean Combs about nights they could get slutty together.
She admitted to taking charge in the so-called freak-offs, going so far as to personally pick the escorts who took part.
She also testified about not sometimes liking these escorts and being attracted to them, and that she, on her own accord, she testified, Jane, that she would sometimes dismiss these escorts and that Combs would be fine with it.
Jane also revealed that she loved to bathe Diddy and watch his favorite show, Dateline. She testified that Combs was open early on about his polyamorous lifestyle, which she initially accepted but later struggled with.
Jane also testifying about the chemistry between herself, Combs, and a male escort, Paul, saying it was so strong they nicknamed it the trifecta.
She especially had trouble with his public relationship with Young Miami. Jane went on to express frustration over unequal treatment, noting that other women received lavish gifts and trips while she did not, even when she complied with Combs' requests.
And then Tenny Garagos says, yeah, but you got a lot of gifts, didn't you? Did you get a Chanel bag? And she looked at her and said, no, I only got trauma. What about a Bottega Veneta bag? And she sort of recoiled at that.
Financially, Jane confirmed Combs wired her over $150,000 during their time together and invested $20,000 into her dress business.
Jurors are really going to have to wrestle with the fact that he's paying her legal fees, he's paying her rent, present day, while she's pretty much testifying against him.
Jane spoke about a hotel night around New Year's 2022, describing it as lasting roughly 3 days and involving 3 men. She also testified about using the promise of a hotel night to convince Combs to end a trip with another woman, Young Miami, calling it the first time she, quote, pulled that card.
If you don't come home now, we're not going to do anything you want to do. Jane telling the court, that was the first time I was so upset that I pulled that card.
The jury was also shown angry texts Jane sent after discovering Combs had taken another woman on a birthday trip to Turks and Caicos. She says they reconciled when Combs planned a Turks and Caicos trip for just the 2 of them. Judge denies another mistrial motion.
Sean Diddy Combs' latest request for a mistrial in his sex trafficking case has been rejected.
The judge presiding over Sean Diddy Combs' criminal trial, the Honorable Arun Subramanian, has denied the defense's second motion for a mistrial, which accused prosecutors of misconduct by presenting knowingly false testimony from Brianna Bungalan.
She says Diddy burst in, groped her, then picked her up and held her over the balcony 17 stories high.
Bungalan, a close friend of Cassie Ventura, had testified that Combs once dangled her over a 17th floor balcony in 2016, a claim the defense challenged by presenting hotel records showing Combs was in New York at the time of the alleged incident in Los Angeles. They also argued that Cassie said she witnessed this incident, but text messages indicate she only heard about it.
The defense thinks that this was prosecutorial misconduct, that they put on perjured testimony in front of the jury. So that's the issue.
During the tense cross-examination, Combs' attorney pressed Bungalan on this contradiction. Despite the dramatic exchange, which Judge Arun Subramanian likened to a, quote, Perry Mason moment, he ruled that the defense suffered no prejudice, as they were able to thoroughly challenge Bungalan's account in front of the jury. Prosecution requests the removal of a juror.
Prosecutors now expressing some concerns over a juror in the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking trial.
In a rather surprising moment at Sean Diddy Combs' trafficking trial, prosecutors asked for a juror's removal, juror number 6, citing what they described as a, quote, lack of candor with the court, an issue serious enough they claim to warrant dismissal.
Juror number 6 is a 41-year-old African-American or black male who, during voir dire, said that he knew some of the facts of the case, but he could put that aside and still consider the evidence in this case. Now, it seems like the AUSA or the government has come forward and said that there seems to be a lack of candor.
Lead prosecutor Maureen Comey told Judge Subramanian that although the request was reluctant, they felt compelled to act.
At issue, juror number 6, a black male from the Bronx.
However, defense attorney Alexandra Shapiro strongly opposed the move, calling it a, quote, thinly veiled effort to dismiss a black juror.
Tenny Garagos pushed back on the AUSA's reference to the lack of candor and said this is a thinly veiled attack to try to knock off another African-American juror on the jury.
The jury consists of 12 people, 8 men and 4 women, ranging in age from 30 to 74, along with 6 alternates. All of the jurors' identities remain confidential. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Las Vegas trip with icon rapper.
Specifically discussing an issue from 2024 when Jane testified that she flew to Las Vegas with a friend of hers who's a famous rapper.
Jane's testimony about a 2024 trip to Las Vegas stirred significant attention in the courtroom. During direct examination, she described traveling in January 2024, while briefly separated from Sean Diddy Combs, on a private jet with an unnamed icon rapper and his entourage. The trip was part of a birthday celebration. That night, according to Jane, the group watched a woman engage in sexual activity with a male adult entertainer known as Antoine, whom she knew from prior encounters with Diddy. She further testified that the high-profile rapper asked for other male escort recommendations. Jane went on to say that she had never been intimate with Antoine outside of her hotel nights with Combs. However, after she reconciled with him later that year, he accused her of being unfaithful. As for the identity of the icon rapper, defense attorney Mark Agnifilo pushed for the names of those present during the Las Vegas encounter to be disclosed.
Defense attorney Mark Agnifilo argued that they should go on the record with their real name so that when someone hears about testimony who's outside of the trial and they might have information about that testimony, that they can come forward.
However, Assistant U.S. Attorney Maureen Comey objected, arguing that doing so would amount to an effort to, quote, harass and intimidate the witness. Judge Arun Subramanian ultimately ruled that the January 2024 incident was not directly tied to the trafficking charges against Sean Combs, and therefore the rapper involved did not in fact need to be named.
They're arguing that this is an infringement on Jane's privacy because these are people that she's connected to and events that she participated in.
Are you continuing to follow the federal trial of Sean Diddy Combs? What do you make of the case thus far? Share your thoughts in the comments below.
Now, the prosecution says they expect to rest their case next week. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges.